Alright, for week 7, I did case study 8.6 from chapter 8, Kelly vs. Board of Trustees. The parties involved in this case, the plaintiffs were William M. Kelly. He was a member of the University of Illinois men's swim team, and other plaintiffs were also members, some of his teammates on that swim team. The defendants were the Board of Trustees of the University of Illinois, the University of Illinois Chancellor, the athletic director from the university, and also the associate athletic director. So, some facts about the case. On May 7th, 1993, the University of Illinois announced that it intended to terminate 4 varsity athletic programs at their school. This included the men's swimming program, men's fencing, men's diving, and women's diving. The primary reason for these intended cuts were due to financial and budgetary university constraints. The university was faced with a deficit of $600,000 on its athletic budget. So the university's men's swimming team, they filed a suit against the Board of Trustees, the university's chancellor, athletic director, and associate director for terminating the men's swim team. The plaintiffs alleged that their Title IX rights and equal protection rights under the 14th Amendment were being violated from their team's termination from the college. So, just a couple things about Title IX. Title IX states that no person shall, on the basis of sex, be excluded from participation and be denied the benefits of or be subject to discrimination under any education program or activity. The institution must accommodate the interests and abilities of members of both sexes in the selection of sports and levels of competition. In order for a university to effectively accommodate the interests of its male and female students, the institution must satisfy 3 benchmarks. And those 3 benchmarks, the first one, the participation opportunities for male and female students are in substantially proportionate numbers to the respective enrollments. So, for example, in this case, in 1993, the University of Illinois had 25,846 enrolled students. And of those 25,846 students, only 474 participated in their athletic programs at the University of Illinois. And of those 474, 76.6% of those athletes were males, while only 23.4% were females. The second benchmark is the interests and abilities of the sex which is underrepresented with respect to their undergraduate enrollment are fully and effectively accommodated by the present program. And then also the underrepresented genders, interests, and abilities will be accommodated by expansion of the athletic program. So the plaintiff's arguments in this case is that the plaintiffs think that the policy interpretation of the regulation of Title IX establishes a gender-based quota system, kind of a scheme that they believe is contrary to the mandates of Title IX. They kind of argued that if a university is required by Title IX to eliminate men from varsity athletic competition, then the same Title IX should occur for women from the academic departments where they are overrepresented, and men from the departments where they have been overrepresented. The defendant's decision to eliminate men's swimming program while retaining the women's program denied them equal protection of laws guaranteed by the 14th Amendment. Congress therefore specifically directed the agencies in charge of administering Title IX to issue, with respect to intercollegiate athletic activities, regulations containing reasonable provisions considering particular sports. So the defendant's arguments in this case, in order to eliminate the university's athletic $600,000 deficit, the university would have to discontinue certain intercollegiate teams. So what they did is they looked at all 19 sport teams at the University of Illinois. They were evaluated under certain criteria, and there were 7 different criteria that they evaluated these 19 sport teams. The first one was whether the team or not, whether the Big Ten Conference and the National College Athletic Association sponsored a championship in that sport, the tradition of the success of the sport at the university, the level of interest and participation in the sport at the high school level, the adequacy of the university's facilities for that sport, the level of spectator interest in that sport, any gender and ethnic issues in the sport, and then the overall cost of the sport. So the men's swimming team was selected to be discontinued because the program was historically weak. It's not a widely offered sport in high schools, and it was not drawing a large spectator interest at that college. Continuing on with the defendant's arguments, during the decision, the University of Illinois also had to include considerations to comply with Title IX. So that's the reason why the university did not cut the women's swimming program, because it would have put the university at risk for violating Title IX. After discontinuation of the men's swim team, men's participation in athletics continued to be more than substantially proportionate to their presence in the university's student body. And as the law states, if the percentage of student athletes of particular sex is substantially proportionate to the percentage of students of that sex in the general student population, the athletic interests of that sex are presumed to have been accommodated. So what were the court findings in this case? The plaintiffs are requesting gender equality, but this conflicted with the imperatives of Title IX, which require women who have traditionally been underrepresented in college athletics be assured equal opportunities. So considering the scope of the total men's athletic programs at the University of Illinois and their disproportionate participation in athletics as compared to the undergraduate enrollment. The court findings also found that the policy interpretation does not mandate statistical balancing. Actually, the policy interpretation creates a presumption that a school is in compliance with Title IX and the applicable regulation when it achieves such a statistical balance. The plaintiffs also claim that the universities violated Title IX when it terminated the men's swimming program, and this claim was obviously rejected by the court. The university's actions, the court found that they were consistent with the statute and the applicable regulation and policy interpretation, and neither the regulation nor the policy interpretation run afoul of the dictates of Title IX. So after reading this case, the athletic administration implications that athletic administrators can kind of take from reading this case is really the importance of Title IX and equal opportunities for all. That's something that's really important, and it's something that as a school or as an institution you have to consider the importance of Title IX and make sure that you are compliant with Title IX. You want to make sure considering gender when determining which athletic program to discontinue ensures that instances where overall athletic opportunities decrease, the actual opportunities available to the underrepresented gender do not. So that's something really important to remember. And then also to remember under Title IX, the proportionality standard based on your institution. And that's obviously going to differ institution from institution. Also, when faced with budget constraints, it's important to have a process and criteria set to equally evaluate all athletic programs. So having this set ahead of time, if you are faced with these types of constraints, you know kind of what the plan is moving forward and how you're going to evaluate each athletic program at your institution to fairly determine, if needed, what athletic programs need to be cut or need to be discontinued. And the biggest thing as an athletic administrator is just making sure that this is communicated. That this is communicated to those that are involved in the program, those that support the program, and what criteria that you used to measure which program that you were going to discontinue and why. That's the biggest question, is they want to know why they're going to find it unfair that their program was discontinued. So really making sure that you communicate that clearly as to why their program was the one that was chosen to be discontinued, and how they didn't meet that criteria, and how overall that goes back to affecting the percentages and that proportionality standard at your institution.